by writers, the stories that made us who we are.
Well, hello everybody and welcome back. 7 days have passed so quickly. It's time for another episode of Raised by Writers. Not one, but two authors with us this week. Rashmi Sirdeshpande is going to be joining us in just a little bit to talk about her book, which featured in the Read for Empathy collection, and a bit of an announcement too. Watch this space, or listen to this space, as it were. And then we're going to be speaking to the brilliant poet Attie Lime is going to be joining us, choosing three books from her childhood, which have been special for her, and another teacher joining us as well. Andrea is going to be giving us a brilliant recommendation. All go round here. But without further ado, we always start with a recommendation from my bookshelf. And this one comes with an inscription. To Paul, Merry Christmas, love Mummy and Daddy. Christmas 1980. I was 2 and they got me for Christmas. The Stories from Rainbow. Now, of course, if you are of a certain age, you will remember the TV show Rainbow. It was Thames Television produced it. Zippy, Bungle and George have gone down in the sort of UK history, really. They're part of our culture. And one of the things that always featured in Rainbow, there was always a story time. And this was a collection of the stories that featured in the whole thing. And they're just really lovely little short stories, which coming back now. Lots of them are by Bridget Appleby. There's one by Norman Beardsley, Peggy Burton. Cosgrove Hall Productions put one together as well. There's various different ones. I mean, just some of these, you know, you get the gist of the sort of things that we got here. Little Pig's Wish, Sports Day at the Pond, Sam the Goat, Michael and Jimbo. You know, Grandma Bricks of Swallow Street. They're all lovely little stories that take no more than maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 minutes to read. Because they were part of a bigger television programme. But, you know, being able to watch the TV programme, to read the stories together. And actually, it was a nice little connection because unless it was school holidays when Dad would sometimes be at home not working, he obviously didn't see me during the day. So I had this connection through the TV show, through this book, with him reading the stories to me at night as well. So it's a lovely little thing. And the fact that I've still got it, well, you know, all these years later, it really does sort of get you inside. There's something very nice about, you know, holding a book that you've had for a little while. 45 years? It's quite a while. Stories from Rainbow, based on the Thames Television programme. It was published by Collins. I very much doubt it's in print now. So if you can get yourself a copy, I'd head to a certain auction site. And so we come to our first guest of the day. Now, it's usual at this point that I talk to a member of the EmpathyLab team and not an author, because we're going to be talking to authors in just a little bit. But this particular author, well, like many of us, they straddle many different things and have lots of different hats. She is an author of fiction and non-fiction books. She's been a World Book Day author and was the writer in residence for Book Trust. But she was also the collaborator for the amazing We've Got This, released in 2023 and part of the Read for Empathy collection. It is the brilliant Rashmi Sirdeshpande. How are you doing?
Hello, thanks for having me on.
I've been look, honestly, this book, I've been waiting to talk to everyone about this book with you, and it's great that we've managed to get you because, of course, you've been in the Read for Empathy collection previously with some of your other titles, but We've Got This was a kind of specially commissioned piece back in 2023, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. So it was written in collaboration with the EmpathyLab team, just bringing together their amazing research and creating an empathy handbook for children. So that they could understand what empathy is, why it matters, how we can boost it through reading, because empathy, of course, is a learnable skill, which is incredible in itself. And the book it was just a joy to write. We wrote it at breakneck speed, honestly. But I'm really proud of what we've put together because I've seen it in use in schools. I've seen people talk about using it at home. It's just such a fantastic handbook about all things empathy.
And it is put together as a handbook. It says on the front page, 6 steps to build your empathy superpower. And that feels like something actually that just really practical that kids can do and it's such an accessible book. The illustrations by Juliana Aigner is they sort of bring it to life alongside your brilliant writing. And how did you go about sort of forming those 6 steps?
So, like I said, it was all about working very closely with the EmpathyLab team to think about what is it that we need to get across. Okay, how about 6 steps? We discussed what they might be. And then in terms of how long, it was just a question of, like I said, pulling together what we have, making it accessible, making it exciting, relatable. It was really important that children would read this and be like, okay, I see where that fits in to my life. And I think it just took shape on the page quite naturally, because one of the things I love to do when I'm writing, I know a lot of writers love to do this, is to write the way I speak. So it's almost like having a conversation with the reader. So in that sense, it was just, okay, here's what we want to get across in this step. And then let's have a chat with the reader. Let's talk about it. Let's be on a level, nothing patronizing. I'll share the juicy things that lit up my brain, and hopefully they'll light up something in the reader too. And that is how the process really snowballed.
And when you look at the book, it's in this beautiful little sort of little piecemeal bits. There's some quotes from authors about the way that empathy and reading are linked together. There's some little practical tasks that people can do. There's little explanations for parents or carers who might be reading alongside teachers as well. I think everybody can get a little bit from this. Are there any little standout? I mean, I wouldn't ask you to choose a favourite bit, but were there any standout moments and you went, well, that's got to go in? There were like little quotes or things like that, something that really kind of you think, actually, you know what, that nails it entirely.
Well, I love the quotes that we have from authors and illustrators that children love. People who write empathy boosting books, people who, this is in their blood, and having their words on the page threaded through this book, I think it really pulls it together. One standout moment for me was seeing something from Patrice Lawrence. I share it a lot, but she talks about how dandelions push up from the pavement, against all the odds, and how it makes her think of people who are there at the edge, just surviving, who sometimes get overlooked, but they're there. That's what empathy is. Sometimes it's noticing things, because you've been so wrapped up in yourself, noticing things that you wouldn't normally notice, right? And reaching out and connecting with people who maybe you've missed and the world misses, and that's not right. And maybe that happens to us sometimes. And empathy is the bridge that connects the world with us, so people can see what they've always missed. So I love that. But there are so many things. So I'm glad you didn't ask me for a favourite, because I couldn't possibly do that.
Of course not. Also, cunning use of Patrice Lawrence as an example, giving me the chance to say to everybody, if you missed last week's episode, Patrice Lawrence was a fantastic guest. Excellent.
Do you know what? I just want to say that this was not staged, because I do always share that quote, and it's really funny because I hadn't connected that she was last week's guest, so that's amazing. Yeah.
See, even over the airwaves, we're nice and in tune. And there's one amazing thing that we've just completely neglected to talk about here. The foreword from this book is written by none other than Sir Michael Morpurgo. When you found out that he was going to be doing the foreword, was there a little bit of you going, oh, blimey, that's Sir Michael Morpurgo that's going to be a part of this book?
Well, exactly. A part of me, yes. I mean, what a thing to be a part of. But I think the thing is that I on the one hand, I feel like I moved through publishing going, wow, that's impossible. That's incredible. I'm so grateful. It's incredible to just be in the room with these people who are doing such good work, or on the page with them in this case. So a lot of my publishing career has been like that. So I feel like I even forget, because it's so overwhelming that I can't hold it in my head. Does that make any sense to you? Sorry, ADHD brain.
No, it's absolutely. Look, my ADHD brain is connecting with yours right now, and we're going.
So
yes,
you know
okay.
what I mean? Yeah, it's just like it's so big and so amazing that actually I don't process it at all. So yes, now that you've said it, of course, it was amazing. But also it made me think. And seeing all of the quotes roll in from people who I'd asked, would you contribute a quote to this book? And it was an immediate yes from everybody. It makes me think just how much of a shared value this is, empathy. I think so many authors and illustrators, for us, it's an immediate yes, because this is what we do. This is something we believe in, and we really believe in its capacity to change a child's life, to change their communities, and to change the world.
And that's what we want from the Read for Empathy collection, is it? People that are children that are going to read this now, take this forward, hand it on to somebody else, pass that knowledge on, pass that understanding on. And then, in theory, we start to have this more empathetic generation starting to come through and being able to look with new eyes on the world. Now, I wanted to say this for such a long time. I'm really pleased to say that we're going to have a season 2 of Raised by Writers. Now, I just in passing, Rashmi, Do you fancy being a guest at some point or another on Raised by Writers?
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to be a guest. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're going to be an author guest for us, actually debuting season 2, which is going to come at the beginning of January. We've got 3 more episodes left of this series, but so you're going to have to get your thinking cap on. You've got to think of 3 books that you read when you were younger that have stayed with you and had an impact, and then we're going to kind of unpack that a little bit about why we think that maybe they've stayed with you all that time. Are you up for the challenge?
I'm up for the challenge. Easy peasy, got it already.
Oh, right. Oh, you've already thought. Well, in which case, we wait in anticipation to find out what they are. Now, we've got this is available. It's published by Corso, and it's available in all good bookshops, particularly if you want to look on bookshop.org or any of the independent bookshops out there. We recommend doing that. Rashmi Sirdeshpande, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on.
And we'll see you again in the new year.
See you then.
And so we come to my author guest for today. She is a former primary school early years teacher, in fact. She started making waves with her first release, Cornflakes and Gravy, and her first collection published by Otterbury, Blue Jelly and Strawberries, has received widespread acclaim. She's got a brand new collection, A Welly Full of Christmas, coming in October. And she is, of course, the co-founder of the Swadlincote Festival of Words. I am talking about Attie Lime, and it is a pleasure to have you with us today.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Right now, has it been a whirlwind the last 18 months or so since the first book came out?
Yes, it's nice to hear Cornflakes and Gravy mentioned again, actually. I found some old copies of that the other day, and it really took me back. It's been amazing.
And at some point or another, we're probably going to talk about schools and parrots and all sorts of other bits and pieces that are involved in your life. Now, the books you've chosen for us today, these are our books. We always ask our authors when roughly they were sort of consuming these books for the first time. When was your kind of reading? When did you first start this reading journey?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm really bad with remembering, which is probably not ideal for a podcast like this.
Excellent.
But I do. I have memories of reading lots of older books. I did the Enid Blytons, the Roald Dahls, those sort of things, Millie, Molly, Mandy, and all of those. But the ones I've chosen were 2 of them at least were a lot younger. It was very much those held together with those memories of being read to and that snuggly bedtime thing, which I now do with my youngest and did with my other 2. So I'd hope from birth onwards, but I guess I'm remembering around 5 and 6, maybe a bit younger.
Yeah, it's that comfort time, isn't it? It's like, I know I was being read to. I know that it was part of my life, but the memories are still hazy from when we're teeny tiny. It's why going back and sort of having them there is almost like little documents for ourselves. It's great. And the 3 that you've chosen. We're going to kick off. A poet has chosen a book of verse. There's a huge shock, but actually, if you're going to choose a book of verse, the Puffin book of verse, it was a pretty good one, I think, to start with. What are your memories of this book?
With poetry, it tends to be, I remember individual poems, and then I've sort of gone back and realised that they came from that book. Spike Milligan verses, and I used to like the shorter ones that were funny and that I could remember and then bring them out at opportune moments. So there's one, I've got the book in front of me. So there is one I particularly liked by Spike Milligan. Today I saw a little worm wriggling on his belly. Perhaps he'd like to come inside and see what's on the telly. And that's one of the few that I was able to remember, and I like that about it.
I always, in awe of Spike Milligan, the way he managed to capture a whole story in 3 or 4 lines. We don't need anything more from that. It's everything you possibly need to know about that experience with a worm.
You can build a whole world around that, can't you? And what went before and what happens next. And
do you find that when you're writing that the ones that are kind of landing with kids and the ones that they come back to are those little short memory ones that tell that one to me again?
Quite often the rhyme, definitely, and repetition. It's those repetition are the ones that they will remember, and they'll spout back lines. And I do tend towards writing the shorter kind of poem as well. Although I haven't yet managed to safely memorise any of my own, I might add. I probably could, but I haven't dared really have a go yet.
It's really hard, isn't it? Because you kind of like it's like if you're in a play or something. It's like the book is like a crutch for you, and you're just kind of like, you know what? It's a safety net. I'm going to keep it with me.
Yeah.
When you were experiencing, like, obviously you've chosen an anthology to start with. Were you a sit down and read the anthology kid, or were you a dip in and outer?
Dip in and out, definitely. And having another look at my copy, which isn't my original copy, unfortunately, but having another look at that today, there's one in there that was one that my mum used to recite. And really, I mean, we're talking about books today, but with poetry for me, the really strong sort of kicking it all off for me memories were when mum was reciting the poems to me without a book. And one of the poems in there is one of those, and I hadn't realised. So whether she knew it from this book or elsewhere, I don't know, but I found that quite interesting.
It is when you do go back and you go, oh, hold on a bit, this has got because that wouldn't necessarily have been a sit down and read time. That would have been something that your mum would have shared with you when you're out and about, or if you're, just sitting down on the sofa or something. What a lovely experience. And there are the childhood experiences, the being read to kind of leads to story time, and that whole selection of Ladybird books. There's one that you've chosen. Now, when you chose this, I was so pleased. My mum will love this, right? Because she spent hours reading The Enormous Turnip to me, and you've shown me the copy. It's the same cover. We had the same book. What is it about The Enormous Turnip? Because it's not like a regularly sort of celebrated old fable that kind of comes up every now and again, but it is a ridiculously brilliant story, isn't it?
I mean, really, there's not a lot going on there. It's not
not
a richly involved story. But I think as a youngish child, you know what's coming. There's that repetition again to hang on to. It's quite a warm, cozy feel. There's people helping people. It all ends nicely. It's very wholesome. I think the joining in aspect was a real hook for me, actually. The fact when you get to you're listing all the people that are trying to help out to pull the turnip up, and you've heard that enough times that you can join in with the parent that's reading. I think that made a big difference.
It's kind of like that I went to the shops game, isn't it? It's like who's coming next. And for those people that have never read or understood the story of The Enormous Turnip, it's basically, as you said, it's a big turnip. It's a real struggle to pull it up. So bit by bit, more and more people, and I think animals, if I remember right, get involved in the kind of pulling up, and it's like a giant tug of war, and eventually pop, out comes the turnip. Not a great convoluted story by any means, but like you say, very wholesome, isn't it? I mean, maybe it's do you do a lot of organic farming?
I don't know. I'm not mad keen on turnip either, but
yeah, it's one of the things. I mean, so, that would have been the crux point for me. If you'd have read that book and you say, actually, yes, this has massively affected my diet. I'm a vegetarian because of it. And we're looking for those sweet spots of where reading has influenced our lives. And this might come to your final choice for the first time that somebody has chosen one of the Mr. Men books in here. And particularly, I'm fascinated by the Mr. Men books. Why have you gone for Mr. Strong?
Well, this was the most difficult decision of all, because of all the books from childhood, it's the Mr. Men books that stuck with me. And we have a lot in the house now with my children. But choosing one was really difficult. Just one. But there was a particular part of the Mr. Strong story that I don't know if it's an influence now, perhaps, but where he's helping out a farmer and he picks up an entire barn and upturns it and fills it with water. And the bonkersness of that, I think, it just really appealed. And the other thing that's always stuck with my children and their reading of it was all the eggs, that Mr. Strong is strong because of his eggs. And I know that's been used in our house a lot with my children, my memory of that, and then them reading it, that you must eat your eggs to be strong. So those parts have stuck, but it was a tricky decision.
Now, well, this is this is where this kind of connection and through lines, and maybe I'm kind of grasping at straws here, but if you look at the books you've chosen, turnips, right? We've got the eggs moment and Mr. Strong. Your collections are gravy, cornflakes, jelly, strawberries. I'm almost willing to ask, right? Is there? You probably can't tell me very much about the upcoming book, but if it's a Christmas book, I'm guaranteeing there's a Christmas dinner story in there somewhere. I don't know. Is food a big part? You're Attie Lime, for example. This is a kind of recurring theme.
I don't know. I suppose so. I consciously didn't make the next book title Foodie just to have a bit of a rest. Although I easily could have. There is a poem in the upcoming Christmas collection that is about baking all of Christmas into a pie. Ooh. So yeah, I guess. I mean, I can imagine that being in a Mr. Mugg book. Probably, I liked Mr. Greedy as well. So yeah, you might be onto something.
Maybe this is it. I mean, and so it's obviously it's a big web, isn't it? I mean, drawing inspiration for books, and let's turn to your books for a second. Is trying to get into the heads of small people about what will grab their attention and what they want to talk about. I mean, how tricky do you find that as a writer, or is it that actually, like me, you haven't really grown up at all, and this is just something I've wanted to talk about for years?
I think the last bit definitely, and I think I'm getting more and more childish as I get older, which is great. It's lovely and freeing. But I think I've got lucky in that I wrote most of the stories for Blue Jelly and Strawberries when my child was at the age of the intended reading audience. So that really, really helped. So not so much running them by him, but just using him as inspiration, I suppose, and everyday life. And then the next book, which is kind of some for the younger age and then some for older. And then obviously he's grown now. So that's helped enormously. And also going out into schools and doing those visits, that's invaluable feedback. I don't really know what works until I've tested it on real live human children.
And did it surprise you when you went out of some of the ones that you thought, actually, well, this is going to be a hit, and actually there's one or two that you go, oh, I didn't think that one would necessarily be one that would land in the way that it has?
Yeah, there are some that they seem to really hook onto. There's now one actually not in Blue Jelly, but it's an Easter poem I've got, and I've just started to wheel that out all year round because they ask for it.
Right.
And there is one that I thought would go down well, and they laugh at completely different places than I thought they would, which is a bit unnerving, but then it's okay once you know that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's almost like you then structure the poem performance around. It's like, well, I know there's a laugh coming here. Gonna have to take a pause. Gonna have to take a wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
And does it help that you have an accompaniment sometimes when you go to schools? There is a parrot friend. Do you want to tell us about? I mean, I'm not sure how we get this across on the podcast of who and how your parrot friend came about to be in your life.
Oh. Well, Marjorie, bless Marjorie. She was, it sounds awful, she was a bit of an accident.
Obviously.
I'm not really sure I was looking for a sidekick, but she kind of looked lovingly at me from a charity shop cuddly toy bin, and yeah, we've been together ever since. I kind of feel like she maybe needs more of a role in visits now. She has a poem of her own.
Okay.
But she doesn't have a sort of starring role at the moment. But I tend to find that the little ones get very, very excitable. So I kind of have to rein things in a bit, or it would just be the Marjorie show. Yeah, Marjorie featuring Attie Lime. That's an Edinburgh show waiting to happen, I'm almost certain. Now, look, what have you got planned for? Obviously, Christmas is going to be a big push, but I know writers. I know full well that there's little scribbles going on, and there's other things. Sort of, are there plans for the future? Even if you can hint at them, I know you can't necessarily tell us, big details. But yes. What's going on after Christmas? Yes, I'm writing, and there are next year plans in book shape.
Excellent.
And the following year in book shape.
This is excellent news.
I'm busy and excited. Yeah, I'm doing a little tour of schools up north in Northumberland in November. Some of the schools that I attended, some that I worked at. So that'll be lovely to go and showcase the Christmas book and go back home. Yeah.
Oh, I'm fascinated when you go back to your old school. That's always a moment, isn't it? Where you're sort of standing there in the hall and you're at the front of the assembly and not sitting in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just very quickly as well, just to give us a big up for the Swadlincote Festival, because this is something that's growing and growing in your life as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is happening next year?
Yes, it'll be year 3 in 2026. So that's all happening at the end of March. So I think we're running from the 19th to the 22nd of March. So we sort of coincide with World Poetry Day and lots of things happening. We haven't released any names or anything yet, but we're working very hard. I had a meeting just this week with my colleague Ingrid to chat all about it. So we're working really hard behind the scenes to just finish off the programme now, and that I'm very excited about.
Excellent. And what we'll do is we'll put in the show notes all the details for both contacting you and, of course, for the festival as well, so that people can keep an eye. And thank you so much for your insights and the books that you've chosen today. So the Puffin book of funny verse is going to be up there alongside the Enormous Turnip, a Ladybird book, and, of course, Roger Hargreaves' classic, Mr. Strong. I wonder if somebody else will bring in some of the other Mr. Men books at some point or another. We'll get those spines lined up so that we can have the full Mr. Men collection. Attie Lime, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you soon. Absolutely fantastic to talk to Attie about everything she's up to, the brand new book coming out at Christmas, and of course she's got the Swadlincote Festival of Words next year, and lots more on the horizon as well. It's somebody who's very much his star is shining bright in the wonderful world of children's literature at the moment. Now I've had a busy week as well. Had a meeting with a local primary school that I'm going to visit for National Poetry Day in a few weeks, and while I was there I was speaking to their deputy head, and I said, we're doing this podcast at the moment. We always get a teacher recommendation, and her eyes lit up and said, I've got the perfect book to tell you all about. And so here is Andrea with her memory of a brilliant childhood book, and one which I'd not come across before.
My children's bookshelf choice is a storybook called The Island of the Blue Dolphins by the author Scott Odell. I read this book whilst in year 7 at high school. It was part of an English unit that we did, and I instantly fell in love with it. It's based on a true story of a lone woman whose name was Juana Maria. She lived for 18 years on an island off the California coast. So the book was based on her. The girl's name in the storybook is Corana, and she is left alone on an island when her family and the tribe's people leave in a boat. Her brother goes back for something and the boat leaves without him. So she jumps off the boat, returns to the island to look for him, and witnesses him being killed by a pack of wild dogs. That's how the story begins, more or less. So Corana's obviously disturbed by this and is abandoned on the island, where she lives alone. She hunts, she makes spears, builds canoes, all to survive. And she wants to avenge a brother's death, so kills several of the dogs in this pack. However, as the story unfolds, she befriends the leader of the pack of dogs. She tames him and calls him Rontu. And I think this is where I begin to fall in love with the storyline. There's a lot of kinship to animals throughout the text. She tames birds and otters, and the fight for survival is just something that I really loved. And obviously but I have a real love for animals, and I think this book really captured me. I couldn't wait to read it each week, and I've actually ordered it just recently so that I can read again, because I'm sure there's lots of bits that I've missed that I'd like to remember, really. So yeah, that's my children's bookshelf choice.
genuinely a book I'd never heard of before. But if you think I'm not going to go and hunt that one down and find out about it, you got another thing coming. What a brilliant choice. Thank you so much to Andrea. Now, just to recap the books we've talked about today, we've got The Stories from Rainbow. That was my first choice from my own childhood bookshelf. We've got This by Rashmi Sirdeshpande and illustrated by Juliana Eigner. Then we had Attie's choices, The Puffin Book of Funny Verse to start off, The Enormous Turnip, and then finally Mr. Strong from Roger Hargreaves' classic collection of Mr. Men books. And then finally, that great choice, The Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell. That was Andrea's choice for us. We will be back in just 7 days' time on Raised by Writers. So have a fantastic week. Keep reading, and we'll see you then.
If you'd like more information on today's podcast, you can contact Paul Jenkins on social media using the handle @TeacherWriterPJ. Raised by Writers is a Double Rainbow production.